What's going on, y'all? My name is Joltage, and today, unfortunately, we're having to bring you a replay of this week's Small Gun Champions League action, the first game of the week between LilyAC of the Technical Machines and Laroxyl of the Arena Spartans. Now, as I mentioned in the Daunt versus Kyther video, I actually did catch this game live and had it recorded and everything, but for some reason my recording failed for it, and I just don't have a file to use with that to bring y'all. So we're just gonna do a little bit of going through the replay. Here I haven't done a replay analysis version of these in a long time, so we'll see how it goes. But anyway, so slow is too slow. Okay, so actually heading before, let me reset actually. So before looking from team preview, we see that Lily's actually kind of not got a good matchup against Pharaoh Seed. You have to assume her Abra is definitely like Life Orb Fire Punch, but because other than that, it's just like Fu or nothing. She could be like the super niche like Trapping Magnemite set, but other than that, Pharaoh Seed hard walls both Fungus and Staryu, and kind of Magnemite as well. If it's not that, and it just has an insane matchup here, and Laroxyl can tell that. We got Marini's, I believe this was Marini's first appearance in the tour. I don't remember seeing it much at all last week, though I could be just misremembering. We got a pretty just like solid looking Firewater Grass in Marini, Pharaoh Pony. What's likely to be Scarf Pori, just in terms of adding a little bit of extra speed. Laroxyl's team's definitely not slow with both Diglett and Pony, but a little bit of extra speed control is always useful. And obviously Fu is just Fu. But anyway, we'll get into the game. As we saw turn one, it's lead Fu on Lily's side, lead Marini on Laroxyl's side. We're going for a fake out. Next turn we're going to get an exchange of knocks. Just because like Lily doesn't really enjoy switching into Marini that well. Nothing that wants to take a knockoff at least. So like having the Fu get knocked off is kind of whatever. Like Fungus is the obvious option. Anything that threatens Marini doesn't want to be eating a knockoff, whether it be Magnemite, assumed Choice Scarf, or Abra obviously doesn't want to switch into any attack. So that made sense to me from both players. Here we get a U-turn out into Lily's Fungus, which again made sense. Laroxyl just decides to go to recover for the recover, knowing that Pharaoh hard walls Fungus. Most people would see Fungus as a free Pharaoh switch. Laroxyl knows that Lily knows that and tries to get cheeky and catch an incoming assume Mienfu or something tries to catch the incoming Mienfu with the Scald, but Lily reads that and goes right for the Spore, and Marini slept. It's not too bad for Laroxyl as he makes the Mienfu play here expecting a Pawniard, and gets that right. He's going to be able to fire off a very free knockoff, lose the Fungus's Eviolite, and is just going to be a nice whole U-turn out to his Pharaoh Seed as Lily's forced to synthesis up. Now Pharaoh can do a lot, just kind of set up rocks, get a T-wave, things like that. Again, it's not really threatened by much on Lily's team, but Laroxyl either makes I think Laroxyl going Fu here was good regardless if Lily went to her own Fu or went to Pawn as she did, because Fu's, as Laroxyl's Fu is not knocked, it's a winning matchup against Lily's regardless, and is going to be able to fire off a free high jump kick. which does 40 to Fungus and is going to force the synthesis up with the U-turn that Laroxyl doesn't opt to go for. I think U-turn would have been perfectly fine there. High jump kick is, yeah, cool if you're going to catch like an incoming Mienfoo, I guess, on a predicted U-turn, but I feel like, you know, you could go out to something that's going to threaten a knocked Foo. Though I suppose that thing would be like a Scarfed Pori or a Ponyta, so I kind of get it, but I probably U-turn in that situation, especially because I expect a synthesis from Lily here, which she does go for. We do get that U-turn this turn, I believe, on that Foo, as we expected, so I guess it just happened to turn later. Out comes Porygon. We expect it to be Scarfed, and I believe on a knocked Foo, that Scarf +1 Tri-Attack probably kills. But Laroxyl expects the Pawn switch and is going to go out to his Foo. Instead eats the Fake Out. Like I said, though, his Foo is not knocked and wins that trade. Lily goes right to her Abra on a Fake Out. So, I mean, definitely not a sashed Abra, as you would as, you know, makes sense, as we kind of speculated on from team preview. You need that extra life orb damage to really be doing stuff against Ferroseed in particular with this team. But it's going to eat that Fake Out and go down to half, and now Abra's basically useless. It can almost collect here if it goes for it can fire off a really strong hit and basically collect here, depending on what Laroxyl goes to. But no matter what happens, if it kills something, it dies to the Diglett next turn. So Abra's really not doing a ton this game. Fires off a Life Orb Psychic. Pony barely lives and is back up to near full with the juice. Lily unfortunately loses that speed tie there, and Abra is going to go down to the Wild Charge. Like I said, the Abra would have gone down to the Diglett the next turn, no questions asked, but definitely unfortunate that Abra couldn't even pick up a kill in this game. Here comes Staryu, goes for a Hydro Pump, does a fair amount to the Ferroseed, but Ferroseed pretty much just hard walls. T-Wave doesn't affect Magnemite to begin with, but misses anyway. That Magnemite shows it's not like the trapping Magnemite set that wins versus Ferroseed, which is like Rest, Iron Defense, Charge Beam, Flash Cannon or something. I think it's something like that, and it's not very good in the majority of situations, though. On this team, with how Pharaoh weak Lily's team is, outside of her Mienfoo, it's not unreasonable that it could have been that, but it proves not to be that, just going to be a standard Scarf Mag. Knock Mienfoo takes a ton from the Giga Drain there. It's going to go for the high jump kick, and it is going to kill the Pony, but Diglett's going to be able to come in and trap that. Mienfoo's knocked and too low to be able to live that Diglett. Out comes Magnemite to fire off a Steel Beam, and it just does pitiful damage to the Ferroseed. It's a really bad spot for Lily here. Has to go Fungus. Like, all of her Ferroseed options are just like gone. I mean, she can go Pawn, but Pawn doesn't beat Ferroseed 1v1 really. Like, I mean, it can knock it off, but it's not really doing a ton for you. That Fungus stalemate was obviously not going anywhere. Laroxyl predicts gets a T-Wave on the incoming Pawn, and is able to go to his Mienfoo without even taking damage as Pawn gets full parried. And from here, it's really just wraps. Tori's going to be able to fire off a Tri-Attack, which Pawn's going to take pretty well, actually. But Mienfoo's very free to go into. It finally loses its Eviolite, but Pawn's parried, and that high jump kick was pretty free. Out comes Staryu, and yeah, again, I mean, the Ferroseed is just basically a free win at this point. There's nothing that can really take it out other than like an Ice Beam freeze. Laroxyl's just kind of opting to like sack the Marini though, as it doesn't really do a ton. It goes down to Thunderbolt. Out comes the Porygon though. Lily doesn't have a switch into the Tri-Attack at this point. As Staryu goes down, Mag's going to outspeed as it's Scarfed and Timid probably, but is not able to do anything with that Flash Cannon, and down it goes to the Tri-Attack. Now it's just Fungus versus the world, and obviously there's a Ferroseed. There's no way it actually wins, but Laroxyl does make sure to take his time and not and just like actually win pretty cleanly. He goes out to his Fu here to fake out and then U-turn fake out and U-turn as Fungus Synthesis up, and then Diglett's gonna be able to take out with the final Gambit. Laroxyl pretty much in control from throughout most of the game against Lily here. Lily had nothing for the Ferroseed outside of her Fu. I assume Abra was Fire Punch, but it didn't get to do anything. It was just not a good matchup for Lily. It was a fairly straightforward win for Laroxyl as he improves to 2-0 on the season. Both of these players came in undefeated after winning their Week 1 matchups. But Laroxyl is going to improve to 2-0 in his first taste of really extremely high-level Smogon tournament play at this Smogon's Champions League. So that's great to see. But anyway, guys, if you enjoyed, please feel free to hit the like or something. I'll try to catch. I much prefer catching these games live. It's a lot more interesting to me to go over them in real time and stuff like that. But I did want to get this one out, and as well as the Bully versus Whale game. I also ended up in that same recording because they started before this game was over, so that got corrupted as well, and I'll be bringing that replay as well. But I'm gonna try to get as many of these live as possible. It's just a fun thing, But anyway, I will see you guys next time. Bye bye.